Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is part 4 of What If Naruto Left Konoha with Itachi. If you guys enjoy this What If, and want to see part 5 of it, comment down below, and let me know. And go ahead, and check out other What Ifs in the channel. Before we start, please do support for more awesome content. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So let's start this video. You need to go say sorry to her, idiot. Sakura yelled at her teammate, Ino, and Tenta nodding in agreement with her. Since they had nothing better to do, they had decided to watch Naruto train, which slightly creeped him out seeing as they have stars in their eyes. Well, Sakura didn't, but the other two did. Naruto sighed. And how will I do that? Bring her some roses, and beg her to forgive me. He saw Ino grin and deadpanned. I was being sarcastic, you know. But it's such a great idea. She exclaimed. I may not know Sayuri very well, but I do know that she loves the color red. She'll probably feel bad and forgive you after you give her a bundle of roses. Come on. She grabbed his arm and pulled him towards her flower shop. We're going to help you out. Tenten looked crestfallen. Yeah, we'll help you get the girl you like. She muttered sadly under her breath, before following the two blondes. With Sayuri. Sayuri was sitting in her couch, studying a scroll. She was waiting for Kakashi to come and get her. The two were going to train out of the village, where the threat of Orochimaru still laid. She was interrupted by a quick knock on her door. Finally. She muttered as she opened the door, only to see Kiba and Izuka at the door. What do you want? Kiba shifted his feet back and forth, his hands behind his back as if he was hiding something. Hi Sayuri-chan, I was wonder if you'd like to go out on a date with me. Sayuri, who had stepped outside the house, was shocked when the dog-wearing boy said that. Look Kiba, I'm still not comfortable about dating anymore. Especially after what Naruto did. She said uncomfortably. Kiba sighed. Look Sayuri-chan, I'm not like that jerk. He's arrogant and he kept a very large secret from you. But I'm not like that. Just give me a chance. Sayuri sighed. Letting him down became a lot more harder. Kiba, even if I wanted to go out on a date with you, which I don't, I can't. Kakashi-sensei is going to be here any minute, so I can go train for the upcoming exams. She was cut off when Kiba lurched forward and kissed her on the lips. With Naruto. Naruto was walking towards the Uchiha district, nervous down to his very bone. He had gone with Ino to get flowers, and got Sayuri a bundle of roses that weren't too showy, but not lacking any beauty either. He walked into the Uchiha district and turned the corner, only to see one thing that broke him. Kiba and Izuka was kissing Sayuri Uchiha. Naruto watched as Kiba kissed Sayuri, but she wasn't kissing back. Then again, she wasn't really stopping him either. Naruto let the flowers drop out of his hands, and onto the ground, a tear sliding down his face. No. He croaked out before vanishing in midair, his heart breaking into millions of pieces. With Sayuri. Sayuri stayed there shocked at Kiba's action, he was kissing her. But she felt paralyzed, like she couldn't move. She finally regained control, and backed away, and slapping the boy, not knowing that a certain blonde had witnessed everything except the slap. Kiba held the red handprint on his face. If you ever try to kiss me again, then I'll kill you. She threatened. She then smirked. Or maybe I'll tell Naruto about this, he'll kill you definitely. Kiba paled considerably and wisely backed away, and ran out of the Uchiha district. Sayuri sighed. Boys were stressful. Guess I'm stressful then, lol. The next day. Ino, Tenten, and Sakura were walking towards the training grounds, intent on seeing Naruto train once again. But when they got there, they were surprised to see another Kunoichi there, the girl with 4 pigtails from sand. Tamari, was it? Tamari was sitting on the ground, watching Naruto, a frown on her face. The 3 girls sat down next to her, and Ino opened her mouth to speak. Why are you here? She asked politely, not wanting to offend the girl, especially knowing what she did to Tenten. Ten was glaring at her from the corner of her eyes though. Tamari sighed. I'm wondering how in the hell this guy beat Gar. No one beats Gar, not even out top Jonin. The only one that was actually able to subdue him was my father, the Kazekage. Ino gasped. You're the Kazekage's kid. Geez, no wonder you beat Tenten. Tenten growled. Shut it. She said between her teeth. Tamari held her hands up in surrender. I mean no harm. I'm not sorry about losing, but I do apologize for acting like a total ass about it. I was probably your worst match to go up again. She said. Tenten nodded, but she was still kinda mad at the blonde. Naruto was currently punching one of the 3 wooden posts, making large dents in them, but they were instantly going away. The wooden posts were old, and were made with reinforced chakra, so that if they were ever dented, which is a hard feat, let alone destroy, they would still heal. The best part in all the girl's mind was, that he was wearing no shirt whatsoever. I've never seen Naruto sweat this much. Sakura said. Ino and Tenten nodded in agreement. Tamari rose an eyebrow. That's not sweat, those are tears. She said. You didn't know this. Everyone was now studying Naruto's eyes, and then they realized Tamari was telling the truth. Naruto was crying. Naruto, who was still punching the wooden post, had an image of Kiba kissing Sayuri once again, and his eyes flashed a bright red. He swung harder and a big boom was heard, making the 4 Genins flinch at the noise. They looked up and the 3 girls from Konoha were shocked. It's not possible. Tenten stuttered. Those things shouldn't even be able to break. The only person I know who can do that is Guy-sensei. She muttered in disbelief. Ino and Sakura nodded. Ino had her sensei, Asuma, tell her about that these things were almost indestructible. Sakura had read it in a book. Naruto fell down, panting from exhaustion. His eyes were still red with slits. His fists were painted in his own blood. The 3 girls from Konoha looked at Tamari in alarm. How long has he been doing that? Tamari shrugged. Ever since I got here, and I've been here for an hour. The 3 girls rushed towards Naruto, but he was already up. When they looked into his eyes, the first thing they noticed were the eyes. It was weird and primal, but still attractive to look at. Naruto glanced at them. Sorry, I'm not training right now, he said as he walked past them, his voice held an emotionless tone. They were taken back by this statement. Not a hello, or a single greeting, just him blowing them off. Sakura got angry. Hey, she shouted. I don't know what your problem is, but you don't take it out on us. Naruto turned to her, and looked her deep in the eyes. Just, be quiet, he whispered. His eyes were filled with pain and hurt, and he looked as if he were going to cry again. Sakura backed away, shocked. What happened? Said Tamari, surprising everyone. They didn't think she actually cared. Noticing their stares, she shrugged. I'm curious. Naruto turned away. Sari, was all he said before walking away. All the girls, besides Tamari, who had no idea what was going on, felt a surge of anger. All he wanted to do was apologize. Ino yelled, pulling her fist up in anger. Tenten was looking at a kunai, as if imagining Sayuri somehow being impaled on it. Sakura was glaring at the ground. She harbored no such feelings for Naruto, but he was still her friend, and seeing him broken and torn down like this just didn't sit right with her. Tamari realized what was happening. Wait a minute, you 3 like him, don't you? She said slyly. Ino and Tenten blushed, while Sakura shook her head. Not really, I only see him as a friend. She pointed at Ino and Tenten. Those 2, however, that's a different story. Tamari smirked. Good luck with that. Only one person can have him. The girls had a small bolt of lightning come between each other. He's mine, they shouted at the same time. Sakura and Tamari sighed in unison. Idiots. Sakura breathed out. Unbelievable, Tamari said, shaking her head in amusement. What's all of this about? A voice said. The girls turned, and saw Sayuri walking towards them. The 3-leaf ninja glared at her. Naruto's crying because of you, Ino shouted. What did you do to him, bitch? Tenten shouted. Everyone looked at Tenten in surprise. She had a pinch of red on her cheeks from embarrassment. What? I get protective too, she said defensively. Sayuri tilted her head slightly. What did I do? She asked in a confused tone. If anything, that bastard did the bad stuff to me, not the other way around. She was slapped across the face by an angry Sakura. You idiot, she cried. He apologized to you yesterday. He even brought you flowers. How could you just crush his heart like that? If Sayuri wasn't confused then, she was now. What do you mean? She asked. I haven't seen Naruto since the preliminaries. But he went to apologize to you last night. We didn't see him for the rest of the night, so we thought that he was successful, but was too excited to tell us. Ino told her. Sayuri's eyes widened. What time was that around? Ino shrugged. Around 7, maybe 7:30ish. I don't know. Why? Sayuri stomped on the ground in anger. That idiot saw Kiba kiss me. The 4 other girls gasped at that. But I slapped that mud away. She started talking to herself. I would have most likely forgiven him. But on only one factor, what type of flowers did he get me? Everyone deadpanned. Roses, Ino said dejectedly. Sayuri brightened. And he's forgiven, where is he? Tenten snorted. I doubt he would want to see you. Look what he did to the wooden post in anger. She pointed at the broken post and Sayuri gasped. He did that? They nodded. Oh Kami. We have to find him. And I know of only one person who'll know. The Hokage. In the Hokage's office. Hiruzen was sitting at his desk, in the groove of doing paperwork, in a slightly sad mood. Naruto had just came to him, requesting to train outside the village with someone uncertain. He of course, gave permission, trusting Naruto completely. The look in Naruto's eyes was sad, and had a betrayed feeling to them. He heard a knock on his door. He yelled out a quick come in, not bothering to look up from his paperwork. 5 girls rushed in, including Sayuri, Ino, Sakura, Tenten, and Tamari. He looked up from his paperwork in surprise, not expecting so many people at once. Yes? Sayuri stepped forward. Where's Naruto? She said urgently. Hiruzen sat back in his chair. He just went to train for the rest of the month out of the village, saying that he needed to kick someone's ass badly in the exams, and wanting to train with someone. He should be long gone by now. Why? Sayuri gave a dejected sigh. Damn, we missed him. She then noticed Tamari. What are you doing here? Tamari grinned. Your village has the best gossip ever, she said eagerly, earning sweat drops from everyone in the room. With Naruto. It's been a while. I hope you can teach me something useful, Naruto said in an emotionless tone. Geez, you would think to talk to me with respect, the man sighed. I guess not though. Not from you. Now, what type of jutsu are you looking for? Naruto smirked. A humiliating jutsu. To teach someone humility. The man nodded. Okay, I got just a jutsu. But I guess I'll teach you more stuff. You fine with that? His answer was Naruto making 10 shadow clones. I'll take that as a yes. But, in payment, you have to change your wardrobe. It'll look bad as still, just more mysterious. Naruto rolled his eyes. Whatever you say, pervy sage. 1 month later. A large crowd of people had gathered into the arena where the third exams of the Chunin exams are going to place. Currently, all the contestants were there, excluding Sayuri, who was training with Kakashi, and Naruto, who disappeared to train out of the village. Up in the Kage's booth, stood Maid Terumi, the Mizukage, accompanied by her 2 bodyguards, Aoi and Shijuro. The Raikage, who was accompanied by his 2 bodyguards, Killer Bee and Yujido Nai, the 8 and 2 tails Jinchuriki. Inoki, the Tsuchikage, who was accompanied by his 2 bodyguards, Akatsuchi and his granddaughter, Kurasuchi. The Kazekage, who was accompanied by his 2 bodyguards, Bucky and a random Sanjonin. Hiruzen, however, had no guards with him, thinking they were unnecessary distractions, especially in his own village. Well, Hokage Dono, I must congratulate you on having most of your ninja to the finals, Inoki said, but he couldn't keep out the obvious jealousy in his voice. Hiruzen smirked, also pleased with this year's Genin's progress. I must agree. But, I must ask, where is the Uchiha at? Shouldn't she be here? A asked irritably. He despised people who were late, a fact shared with all other Kages. But sadly, Hiruzen had to deal with Kakashi Hatake. There's another missing, Mei said, noticing the odd number if the Uchiha were to come. Who is he? Hiruzen smirked. Probably the strongest Genin I've seen. Well, except for my Dai. Bless his soul. Became as powerful as a Kage defending his son, he said sadly. The other Kages nodded, knowing that the ninja life didn't come without sacrifice. He'll be coming soon. He isn't late. But I hope he makes it in the next 5 minutes, or else he'll have to be disqualified, Hiruzen said in a worried tone. The Kazekage, or Orochimaru in disguise, smirked under his veil. I hope he never comes, he thought, his smirk growing ever wide. There he is now, Inoki said, pointing to a small figure entering from the gate. Naruto walked into the arena. He had no shirt, much to the likings of pretty much all the girls in his presence, but he had black and red bindings all over his arms, from his shoulder down. He had on black underpants with a pair of black shoes as well. But that wasn't the biggest change. Naruto's hair was black. But it wasn't like a dyed kind of black, it was this, weird, but natural type of color, like he had black hair for his entire life. To the girls, it made him look mysterious and hot. Mei smirked. That's your piece of eye candy, Hokage Dono, why didn't you tell me he was so handsome? She said, unconsciously licking her lips. Every guy there sweat dropped, including Orochimaru in disguise. Then, Yujido decided to continue. Handsome wouldn't be enough to describe him. He's hot. She finished, trying to find the right word. Looked at the 2 tails Jinchuriki in surprise. Yujido, he shouted, feeling embarrassed that one of his ninja would say such a thing. Yujido shrugged. I like what I like, Asama. She eyed the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage. He's hot, isn't he, Kurasuchi? Kurasuchi, who had been staring at Naruto for a very long time, felt her cheeks heat up. She then stuck her nose in the air. You're right. It'll take more than looks to attract someone like me, she declared, earning a pleased sigh from Inoki. Hiruzen sighed. I wonder what that boy did to himself. He could all but wonder. Killer Bee then talked to his tenant inside his head, before speaking. Yo, that black hair kid, looks super keen, why didn't you tell us? He was the 9 tails Jinchuriki. He rapped horribly, making everyone from Kumo sweat drop at the man's lack of rhythm and rapping skills. But his so-called lyrics earned the attention of all the Kages. That boy is the 9 tails Jinchuriki, Inoki said, bewildered. Why didn't you tell us, Hokage Dono? Indeed, you already know who our Jinchuriki are, why didn't you tell us? A asked. Hiruzen saw the same question in Mei's eyes as well, but not in the Kazekage's. Weird. He sighed. Well, it was a matter of security for the boy. A few years back, he was tortured by some of the villagers, when he was just 5. He left the village for a long time after that. Now, about a year back, he came home. Though, something is troubling him at the moment. I just can't figure out why though. A glared at the civilians down below. At my village, Jinchuriki are treated like royalty. No one would dare attack them, they're just so loved, he said, pride in his voice. But then it turned dark. So why the hell is it any different for your village? Hiruzen sighed. I have no idea, Raikage Dono. Maybe it's because the beast killed many, including the late Hokage. he said, wording his sentence carefully so not to trigger Inoki. When Inoki didn't react to what he had said, Hiruzen gave out a relieved sigh, thankful. With Naruto, Jiraiya the Sannin had hand-selected his clothes, which made him quite embarrassed because all of the girls would stare at him. He could feel almost every eye in the stadium looking upon him. Even the old ladies, which sent a chill up his spine. Now, for the black hair part. Well, let the author show you the flashback. Flashback jutsu. Naruto was practicing make storage seals. That was Jiraiya's training. He would work on seals for about 5 hours, then he would do physical labor for the townfolk, earning him many pinch to the cheeks from the older women. His physical exercise also included running from the fangirls of the village that he and Toad Sannin were staying at. After that, he would practice trying to summon the Kyuubi's chakra out for his own use, but so far, he had no such luck. But today, Jiraiya said he was getting something special. He guessed it would be the Toad contract, but he wasn't sure if there was going to be a problem, since he had a contract with the crows, but hey, it couldn't hurt to try. He was in the middle of doing a custom explosive tag, when Jiraiya came walking up to him. "Hey Naruto, ready for that surprise I promised you?" he asked, a silly grin on his face. Naruto gave a simple nod, a small smile on his lips. Spending time with the old pervert helped him deal with the drama about Sayuri. Believe it or not, the man actually knew what he was talking about. "Okay, you ready? I'm going to give you the opportunity that very few have ever had. But you do have 2 relatives who have it, your father," he said, opening the Toad summoning contract scroll, showing Minato Namikaze's name on it. "And me." He pointed at his own name. Naruto smiled at the man. "I would love to, I really would, but I'm not sure that the crow contract would let me do that. Besides, wouldn't the Toads only want one summoner loyal to them?" Jiraiya shrugged. "Let's find out, shall we?" Naruto pricked his thumb with the kunai, and performed a set of hand seals, before slamming it on the ground. "Summoning jutsu," he whispered as he found himself on a big crow. "Hello Kaneki-sama." Naruto greeted the king of the crows. "Yes. Go ahead and comment it. I know you want to." "Greetings Naruto. What is it you need of me?" "I see no battle." The crow replied respectively. Naruto pointed at Jiraiya from atop the large bird's head. "He wants me to sign the Toad contract. But I had to make sure I wouldn't lose your clan in the process, or would be breaking any rules," he said slowly. "That's wonderful." The bird crowed. "Huns, the Toads and the crows have been great allies, since we were made. I would gladly support you in having both contracts," the bird exclaimed. Naruto brightened, a large smile on his face. With haste, he quickly signed the contract with his blood, and went to make a hand seal, but was stopped by Jiraiya. "Tried to summon a toad with the Kyuubi's chakra." Naruto nodded and began focusing. After around 5 minutes, he found himself in a large sewer-like place. He walked forward and found a large cage. What he expected was to find a large 9-tailed fox threatening to kill him. But instead, he found an extremely attractive girl, sitting in front of him, a smirk on her face. Naked. The nosebleed only lasted a millisecond, but enough for the girl to see. Her smirk grew even larger and she laughed. "I can't believe you were just getting off of a demon," she said, still laughing. She had red hair that went all the way down to her mid-back. She had an herbless figure and red eyes. Her breasts were big, not bigger than Tsunade's, but bigger than most girls. She had 2 ears on the top of her head, and 9 tails flowing from behind her. All in all, she was sexy. Very sexy. Naruto glared at her. "I didn't know you were a girl," he said, ignoring her first comment. Her smirk didn't fade. "Oh please," she said, standing up and walking up towards the bars. "Girls can be one of the most powerful things in the world too. I mean, the 2 and 7 tails are girls. Both give their tenants lust." The Kyuubi and Naruto were standing just 3 feet away from each other. Naruto was trying to keep his eyes locked on hers, but found it very difficult, since she was sorta bouncing around, making her breasts jump up and down. She noticed him struggling. "I know you want to touch them. You can if you want, I don't bite," she said lustfully. Naruto was tempted, very tempted, but he couldn't give in. "Stop," he said in a command tone. "Put some clothes on for Kami's sake," he said before turning around. The Kyuubi sighed. "You know fun, you know that," she said, before shifting into clothes. "There, better." Naruto turned around to see her wearing a t-shirt cut in half, exposing her smooth, luscious stomach, and also wearing booty shorts. Naruto sighed. "Yeah, I guess. Now listen here, I need you to lend me your chakra. I'm keeping us both alive, and we both know that when I die, you die. So how about you give me your chakra so I can keep you safe?" Kyuubi laughed. "How about, no?" she said, giggling to herself as if enjoying an old joke. Naruto glared at her. "And why not?" She shrugged. "I don't want to give a powerless brat my power. I'm not powerless, and you know it." He yelled angrily, losing his cool. The Kyuubi smirked. "You're right, and I'm not the Kyuubi," she said sarcastically. Naruto started growing angrier until she spoke up. "I know, how about this, I'll give you a whole tail of chakra, for a price." Naruto rose an eyebrow. "What's the so-called price?" he said. She curled her finger, indicating for him to come closer. He cautiously stepped forward, only leaving a few inches between him and the fox girl. "I want you to change this sower into a beautiful forest," she whispered in his ear. "All you have to do is think it, and it'll happen." Naruto nodded, thinking this was a small thing. She then grabbed his collar and smashed her lips into his. He felt a large surge of power go through him, and his body growing physically stronger, making his abs more defined, along with his biceps. He gave into the kiss, his lust finally getting to him, and it lasted for a whole minute before she back up, a slight daze over her head. "Geez, you know how to kiss," she said dreamily. She noticed his questioning look. "I transferred power to you. You can now fully control one tail of chakra without losing yourself in the bloodlust. Along with that, you've grown physically stronger, and your normal chakra has increased greatly. And, you got a banging kiss from me, so that's a bonus." Naruto's face was still red from the kiss the two shared. "So, that's it?" he asked. She nodded. She then pushed him back. "Now go back to your world. Kick ass in my name," she yelled as he started to disappear. "And what is your name?" he yelled back, causing her to stop in her tracks before whispering. "Kurama," she whispered shyly, bewildering Naruto before he disappeared completely. Naruto appeared back into the real world, still in a daze. Jiraiya was shaking him. "Naruto, is that still you?" he asked worriedly. Naruto nodded. "Why wouldn't it be?" he asked drowsily. Jiraiya pulled out a mirror from Jiraiya's nose where and showed Naruto his reflection. He had black hair. What the fuck? Flashback end. And that explained why he had black hair now. He had tried to make it blonde again, but to no avail. Dyes didn't affect his hair. He walked up to the rest of the Chunin hopefuls and stood next to Tamari. Hayate then appeared, eyeing Naruto carefully. "You barely made it," he said. Naruto just shrugged. Hayate looked at a clipboard and read the first pair of names. "Okay, first to go, Kiba Inizuka vs Naruto Uzumaki," he announced loudly, so that the crowd could hear. Applause was heard throughout the stadium. Naruto smirked and walked to the other end of the arena, opposite to where Kiba was. "This will be fun," he said with a cruel smirk on his face, making Kiba flinch in fear. Hayate looked at both contestants. "Okay, are you ready?" Naruto gave a determined nod, still glaring at Kiba. Kiba slowly nodded his head, still scared. "Then, begin," he yelled, before jumping back out of the way. Naruto just crossed his arms, tilting his head and grinning like a madman, his eyes turning red. Ever since he had gained control over one tail of chakra, he had been able to find himself changing his eyes when he wanted to. He hoped it would startle, or even scare his opponent, which he was very successful in, looking at the way Kiba was very to move towards him. Naruto quickly got out a paper note, and walked up to Kiba slowly, enjoying the boy's terror a little too much. "I have a present for you, Kiba," Naruto said menacingly before slapping paper on the back of Kiba's neck in a speed that Kiba couldn't follow. Kiba then felt something on drip from the back of his neck down his back, and then slowly cover his entire body. The stadium started laughing at him, but he had no idea why. But Naruto did. He had altered Kiba's appearance. Now, the boy was all the colors of the rainbow, including his hair, which made him look absolutely ridiculous. Kiba, who was talking to Akamaru about why everyone was laughing, glared at Naruto. "You bastard," he shouted. "Change me back right now." Naruto adopted a thinking pose. No," he said before sucker punching the Inizuka in the stomach, and then grabbing the dog by the fur on its neck. "You're not responsible for your partner's actions. How about you sit down all the way over there?" He pointed to the other part of the arena. "And I'll give you a piece of bacon," he promised. The dog nodded eagerly, forgetting all about Kiba as it munched on a piece of bacon that Naruto had given him. Naruto turned towards Kiba. "Okay. Let's get this over with. I want to face the Tamari girl. I wonder what'll happen when two wing users face each other," he said before grabbing 10 shurikens, all secretly attached to wire which were knotted onto his fingers. He threw them, and manipulated them with the thin wire, to make them surround Kiba, strapping his arms at his waist. Kiba snarled. "Big trick dope," he insulted. Naruto smirked. "Oh, it will be. For me, that is," he said before the wires all of a sudden burst to life with lightning, electrocuting Kiba, making him scream. He collapsed to the ground, his body smoking. Naruto smirked. "Payback's a bitch," Naruto said, looking at the smoke rise from the boy's unconscious body. He smirked and looked straight into Tsume Inizuka's eyes, who was seething, and gave her a mock bow. Naruto then put his hands in his pockets, and walked away. The battle between Tamari and Shino had been exactly the same as the fight between Tamari and Tenten. Shino, who had tried so hard to get his bugs at least a foot away from her, could only watch as his entire insect colony was blown away. So, Tamari had won. She walked over to Naruto and sat next to him in the winner's box. "Your match was brutal," she stated. Naruto shrugged. He had it coming. He replied, a pleased smirk gracing his lips. Tamari eyed him carefully. Is it because he kissed Sari? Or because he seems like a dick overall? Naruto scowled. Both. No one messes with Naruto Namikaze. No one, he said, looking into her eyes carefully, his eyes flashing red with slits, to get his point across before returning back to their sky blue. Tamari was taken aback by his words, but quickly changed the subject. So, new look? Naruto nodded. It suits you. You look way better with your shirt off. Naruto's cheeks burned a small red before shrugging it off. Shika is going to lose, he said plainly as he watched the shadow user start to fight against the green taijutsu beast. Tamari rose an eyebrow. And how do you know that? Naruto pointed at Rock Lee. That boy is wearing at least 200 pounds on both legs. And he's still very fast. Shikamaru's shadow will never catch him. Shika has strategy, but Lee has brute strength, and sometimes that can triumph intelligence. Just watch. And true to his word, Tamari watched as Shikamaru was completely dominated by Rock Lee. Lee's speed was just fast for Shika to comprehend, causing Lee to be able to sneak up on him and deliver a quick kick to the face, knocking him out cold. Tamari looked at Naruto in surprise. I'm impressed. You're smart for a kid your age. Naruto rolled his eyes. First you call me attractive, then you call me kid. PFFT, I turn 14 in a week. How old are you? 15, 16. Tamari nodded. I turn 16 in a few months. Naruto whistled. What? You have a good 2 years on me, he said, his voice had jealousy evident in it. Tamari smirked. Seeing her ego was being stroked, he decided to knock her down a few pegs. But then again, that also means that someone younger than you is also stronger than you. How does that settle in your stomach? Tamari blushed in embarrassment. Shut up. Naruto smiled and looked at the arena, to see Neji standing by himself. Where the hell is she? She's going to be disqualified, he stated. Tamari shrugged, before tapping his shoulder and pointing to the other end of the arena. There? Sayuri had appeared back with Kakashi in a leaf shushin. She had a smirk on her face. Am I late? A rock hit her in the head. Hell yeah you are. Now go fight. Sakura yelled from the stands, causing Naruto to laugh. Sayuri glared at her two teammates. And what the hell are you laughing at? She yelled. Naruto's laughter stopped. You? She then noticed his difference in appearance, and felt her cheeks get warm. She shook her head. Focus. Kakashi waved her off and headed to the stands to watch her. She looked at Neji, and got in her stance, him doing the same. Hayate looked at the two contestants, seeing they were ready, and started the match. Sayuri charged Neji with speed that rivaled Rock Lee's, which stunned both Lee and Guy. She quickly kicked Neji in the face, catching him off guard before backflipping backwards. Neji smirked. Prodigy versus prodigy. Both are destined to win. But one of us will lose. And fate has decreed you the loser, and me the victor, he said before charging the Uchiha and started trying to strike her with his gentle fist style. Sayuri had a smirk on her face. She was evading all the blows with ease. She mentally thanked Kakashi for putting her through hell so she could get faster. She quickly jabbed Neji in the ribs, making the boy go back a little bit and wince in pain. She quickly threw a couple shurikens at him, but he dodged them and charged her again. She made a couple of hand signs, before she blew out a large fireball at Neji, who barely dodged it as it burned his left shoulder. The clothes on his body were burning as he struggled to pat it out. Sayuri took the opportunity of the distracted Hyuga and ran towards him, before ramming her elbow in his temple, knocking the boy out instantly. Winner, Sayuri Uchiha. Hayate shouted, causing the crowd to cheer for the last loyal Uchiha. She smirked before moving to the winner's box, and sat down next to Naruto, blushing again as she saw his now hot figure. She didn't speak, furthering Naruto's sadness slightly. Okay, Hayate announced, ready to start the next match. Will Naruto Uzumaki and Tamari of the Sand please come down to the arena? Naruto smirked. You ready to lose, Tamari-chan? He said, his eyes were filled amusement as she blushed a bright red. She fought her blush down, while Sayuri was seething with jealousy behind the blondes. Of course, Naru-kun, she said seductively, causing Naruto's cheeks to redden. She took pleasure in seeing the roles reverse for once. They walked down the stairs, leaving Sayuri glaring at Tamari's back. That bitch. She's trying to steal my Naru-kun. I'll show her, she thought triumphantly. She quickly devised a plan of revenge on the girl, smirking while thinking. Tamari and Naruto were standing at least 10 yards away from each other, both with confident smirks on their faces. Hayate saw both Genins were ready, and began the match. Tamari took out her fan quickly, and sent an air blast at Naruto, who, in return, quickly put his hands on the ground. Earth style. Mud wall. The wind clashed into the mud wall, cracking it. Naruto's eyes widened, not expecting that to happen. He quickly jumped over the mud wall, charging at great speeds towards Tamari, shocking her as she threw a kunai at him. He grabbed it in midair, but realized a second too late that a paper bomb was on it. The bomb exploded, and the dust from the ground surrounded where Naruto was. Tamari's eyes widened. Naruto-kun, she shouted, worried for him. Up in the Kage box, Ace snorted. If he can't handle a paper bomb, then he was all for show, he said disdainfully. Yujiro was slightly saddened by the handsome boy's death, but just shrugged mentally. The Mizukage rose an eyebrow at the Reikage. What are you talking about? I can still sense his chakra signature. Mei said in a matter-of-fact tone. Maybe the Reikage Dono can't attack chakra signatures, HM? Ace suddenly felt a mass of chakra swarm the entire stadium. The dust cleared, leaving an unscathed Naruto, a smirk on his face. Tamari looked at him with a mix of shock, surprise, and most of all, relief. How are you still alive? She stuttered. Naruto ignored her question and began making hand signs. That was a good wind attack, Tamari-chan, but I wonder, can you repel a wind attack with that fan of yours? He said before a blade of wind appeared on his hand, before he swiped the air twice as the blade shot towards Tamari at high-pitched speeds. Tamari's eyes whitened as she tried to use her fan as a shield, but watched in horror as her fan was cut into 4 separate pieces. She fell on her knees as she cradled the small pieces, tears flowing down her face. Tamari-chan? Naruto asked in a confused tone, not liking seeing her cry like that. She looked at him with anger evident in her eyes. My mom gave me this before she died, she yelled. Naruto's eyes softened before he slowly walked up to the girl and held out his hand. Let me see it, he said. Tamari looked confused. What? I said let me see it. He demanded and easily took the fan from her, before painting a seal on it. Tamari watched in amazement as the fan fixed itself easily. She looked up in shock at Naruto, but didn't see him. She then felt a small pain on the back of her neck, before she began falling to the ground, completely unconscious. But before she could fall, Naruto grabbed her in midair, and began walking towards the medics who were arriving on the scene. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Haite shouted as the crowd began cheering from the good match. Naruto gently put Tamari on the stretcher. Sleep well, he whispered softly before walking away to the winner's box, satisfied with the outcome. How can he use such a technique? He's merely a genin. Jinchuriki or not, he should not have those types of jutsus in his arsenal. The Reikage shouted. Hiruzen smirked. Well, he was trained by 2 very strong people, possibly the strongest from Konoha. Everyone rose an eyebrow, wanting an answer. Well, one of his masters is Jiraiya of the Sanin. The other is the Nukenin, Itachi Uchiha. He said, causing Mei to gasp. Does he have long black hair along with a weird necklace sometimes? She asked in amazement. Hiruzen rose an eyebrow, but nodded nonetheless. Her mouth formed an O shape, and she began laughing. So, that's why I didn't recognize the boy. I knew he seemed familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Itachi and Naruto-kun helped us defeat Yugar. They were a large help. Hiruzen was surprised by this new information. Itachi nor Naruto ever reported something like this had ever happened. He peered down at Naruto, and began to wonder. What else don't I know about you? I give up, cried Rock Lee as the match started. Everyone who was expecting a large awesome match with Uchiha once again face faulted to the ground, not including Naruto. If someone were to look at his face, they would say that he expected it. And he did. Why are you giving up, Lee? Sayuri asked in a confused tone. She was ready to fight the boy, and to see him give up after working so hard unsettled her. Rock Lee smiled brightly, a little too brightly since Sayuri had to squint to see. I cannot fight the woman that I love, he shouted with a sparkle in his eyes. This caused many more people to get irritated at the boy, all except Guy, who was crying happy tears. You would do that for her? You're so full of youth, Lee. Guy cried out from the stands, earning many winces from the intensity of his voice. Haite looked from Guy to Guy's mini-me in surprise before pointing his hand towards Sayuri. Winner, Sayuri Uchiha. The crowds gave out a weak applause, not really impressed by the delay. Some, however, thought that it was romantic for the boy to give up the match for the girl. Now, for the final match, Naruto Namikaze vs Sayuri Uchiha, he yelled. Before Naruto had left to put Tamari on the medic banner, he had told Haite to tell the truth to the crowds. Haite had smirked at him and nodded, saying he was devious and sneaky, and that he respected it. The crowd was in shock. This boy was the son, or at least related to the fourth Hokage. Inoki was fuming as he glared at the boy. He's the son of that man, he said as he spat out with disgust. Hiruzen sighed. He knew Naruto would do something like this. He glanced at Inoki. He is indeed. But I hope this won't cloud your judgment on the boy. He is not his father. Inoki's face didn't change until he gave out a long, tired sigh. I suppose so. Doesn't mean I have to like the boy. Mei nodded. That is only fair, but I don't see how people don't like him. He's quite charming actually, she said in a dreamy tone, getting weird looks from the other Kages, and looks of jealousy from the girls in the booth. She saw the looks. What? I'm only 7 years his senior. It wouldn't matter if we were in our 30s. She defended herself to the Kages, before turning to the girls, Yujiro, and Kuretsuchi. And no need to get jealous. He's only mine after all, she said as she licked her lips, before looking back to the match. Haite saw that both fighters were ready, before starting the match. Both Uchiha and Namikaze didn't move, as the wind began blowing Naruto's hair, as a single leaf from the tree in the arena fell, and both seemingly disappeared. Everyone's eyes widened as the stadium got extremely quiet, enough that you could hear a pin drop. Then, Sayuri was seen hurling towards one of the walls, and hitting it with a loud smack, making all the Genins wince. Naruto then appeared again, his face had adopted a small smirk on it, obviously pleased with his actions. Sayuri picked herself off the wall, before glaring at Naruto. If you want to beat me, you know better than trying to beat me at speed. It was then Sayuri's time to smirk. You're right, but that was never my intention. Naruto's eyes narrowed, his smirk disappearing as he saw a small glint of metal reflect in the sun. He quickly jumped up, avoiding a stream of fire that had come across the wire at a fast rate. Sayuri launched a dozen shuriken at Naruto, intent on hitting his side, but he quickly replaced himself with one of them, and was now falling with style towards Sayuri. He quickly formed a Rasengan in his hand, while Sayuri quickly went through a set of hand seals, before grasping her wrist as lightning burst into her palm. She charged forward and glared at Naruto, her Sharingan spinning as she looked into his eyes. Their attacks met as a loud sphere of power enveloped them, causing the dust from below to cloud up the arena, not enabling them to see. The Hyugas instantly activated their Byakugans and all gasped in surprise, and were instantly bombarded with questions from the spectators that just so happened to sit next to them. Everyone watched in suspense as the cloud of dust started to clear, and were able to make out the two figures. Then, it cleared altogether, and the whole stadium's blood froze. Naruto was impaled in the chest, right in his heart, by Sayuri's Chidori. He had a thin trail of blood going down his chin as he smiled at her with his eyes closed. You trapped me in a genjutsu, when you looked at me, heh. He said as he collapsed on his knees. He looked Sayuri in the eyes, and saw tears flowing down her cheeks. I didn't mean to. She whispered. Naruto smiled sadly at her. Heh. Who would have known, killed by the girl I swore to protect. He whispered as he fell on his back. You know, it's funny. I'm stronger than you in almost every way, but here we are. He choked out as he began coughing. Sayuri was instantly on her knees as she grabbed his hand, still silently crying. I'm sorry about everything. I didn't mean it. When I said I hated you, I was just angry. Angry at Itachi, because I thought this was his way of torturing me from afar, doing the impossible. Naruto smiled weakly at her. What do you mean? He asked. Sayuri smiled before she kissed him softly on the lips for a second, before pulling back. I thought it was impossible for me to love again. She whispered. Naruto's eyes widened as he watched her confess. I thought that all I had was my revenge, but then, before I knew it, I had you. Thank you so much. She whispered. Naruto slowly reached his hand up, using all his strength, and used his index and middle finger to poke her forehead. I think I love you too. He croaked out before his body went limp, his eyes losing the life he had before. Sayuri started crying harder, not caring what people saw. Her eyes unknowingly forming the Manjaku Sharingan. Everyone's faces were in either horror, shock, or sadness, or all three, including the Kages. Sakura openly wept next to Kakashi as he watched in disbelief the dead body of his deceased sensei's son. I failed again, he thought. The Genin were all crying at the lost, as the sky above them boomed with thunder, and was lit up with lightning before it started raining, the sky crying for the loss of the once blonde now turned black hair boy. Everyone now accepted the fact, with sadness or anger. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze was dead. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want a next part of this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, and also check out the other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.